Hi, everyone, and welcome. In graduate courses, discussion is a major part of how we learn. We'll analyze cases, articles, and ideas, challenge assumptions, and learn from one another's perspectives. This video introduces the professional norms we'll use to keep our conversations rigorous, respectful, and productive, both online and in person. These norms aren't about avoiding disagreement. They're about learning how to disagree well, using evidence, and making space for everyone to contribute. By the end of this session, you should be able to define civility and incivility in graduate classroom discussions. You'll also be able to recognize behaviors that support learning. You'll be able to use professional discussion language. We will also be able to follow shared norms that help everyone participate. The goal is to make our class discussions rigorous, respectful, and useful for your growth as a leader. Civility is not about avoiding disagreement. It's about how we communicate when we disagree. In this course, civility means expressing your identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else's in the process. That includes basic respect, disagreeing without disrespect, and listening past your own assumptions so you can engage the idea, not just react to the person. I want to explain why we're spending time on civility in a graduate level course. In graduate classrooms, discussion is not just a way to participate, it's a core part of how you learn. You're practicing how to think under pressure, communicate in uncertainty, and challenge ideas like you would in meetings, leadership teams, or client conversations. So civility matters for 4 practical reasons. First, more learning. When the environment is respectful, people ask better questions and take more intellectual risks. Students are more willing to say, "I'm not sure yet," or "I may be wrong," and that's where real learning happens. Second, better discussion quality. Civility keeps the conversation focused on reasoning and evidence instead of tone, personalities, or winning. That means we can actually test ideas, compare options, and improve decision-making. Third, psychological safety. This doesn't mean we avoid disagreement. It means people feel safe enough to contribute without worrying about being embarrassed, dismissed, or talked over. When students feel that safety, participation increases and the discussion gets smarter. And fourth, fair participation. Strong classroom dialogue requires more than a few confident voices. Civility helps balance airtime, brings in quieter perspectives, and prevents the conversation from becoming dominated by interruptions or side commentary. So the bottom line is this: civility protects the conditions that make rigorous discussion possible. It helps us disagree productively, include more perspectives, and learn at a higher level. I want to make civil participation extremely practical. In graduate level discussions, we're going to disagree. That's expected. The skill is disagreeing in a way that improves the thinking instead of shutting people down. Here are a few examples of what strong participation sounds like. First, clarifying. If someone makes a broad claim like "we should cut costs," you can respond with, quote, "When you say cut costs, do you mean headcount, vendor spend, or something else? Or what assumption is driving that recommendation?" Second, building on ideas. Instead of stopping at critique, move the conversation forward. Building on that, we could test the idea with a pilot in one region. Or, if that's true, then the next question is, what metric would confirm we're on the right track? Third, disagreeing with evidence. If someone says the company should expand immediately, you could say, "I see it differently because the cash flow trend suggests expansion could increase risk." Or, "I agree with the opportunity, but I think we're underweighting the execution constraints." The takeaway is simple. Be direct and professional, challenge reasoning, not people, and use evidence or logic to support your point. In this course, our discussion norms are not just classroom rules. They directly shape how much you and your peers learn, especially because this is an active learning, graduate-level environment. First, I want to be very clear about preparation, because class time is not designed to repeat the reading. Class time is where we apply it, debate it, and practice graduate-level thinking. So plan to spend about 2 to 3 hours preparing outside of class for every 1 hour we meet. If we meet for 3 hours in a week, you should expect roughly 6 to 9 hours of preparation that week. And that time should not be passive reading. I expect you to come in ready to contribute. That's what allows our discussions to move beyond summary and into real analysis. Second, communicate professionally. In graduate level settings, we practice professional communication. That means being clear, respectful, and concise. You can be direct. You can challenge ideas, but the delivery should stay professional so we can keep the room focused on thinking, not tension. Third, challenge ideas, not people. Disagreement is expected here, and it is part of learning. The standard is that we critique reasoning and assumptions, not the person presenting them. If you disagree, ground it in logic, evidence, and trade-offs. That is what keeps discussion rigorous and makes it easier for everyone to participate. Fourth, share airtime and include others. Strong discussion cannot be carried by only a few voices. We learn more when we hear multiple perspectives and when people feel invited into the conversation. My expectation is that you make at least one substantive contribution in each class session or module. If you have already spoken multiple times, your leadership move is to create space by asking a question, inviting another perspective, or building on someone else's point instead of repeating your own. Fifth, maintain a constructive and confidential environment. We will sometimes use real workplace examples. You are expected to anonymize sensitive details and avoid calling out classmates or organizations. We are here to learn from situations, not judge people. Finally, stay engaged and minimize distractions, both in person and online. Multitasking reduces learning, and it also affects the group. In person, avoid side conversations. Online, keep your tone professional, avoid pile-ons, and contribute in ways that move the discussion forward. If you need to step away, do so quietly and return without disruption. If we follow these norms consistently, we can have the kind of high-trust, high-value discussions that graduate programs are designed for. Respectful, evidence-based, and directly relevant to how you will lead in real organizations. If civility breaks down, we handle it in a clear, fair, and predictable way. First, I will give a reminder to the entire class so we can reset and continue learning. If needed, there may be a private conversation with the student or student group to clarify impact, expectations, and how to move forward. And if a pattern continues, we'll follow up with next steps. The purpose of this process is to restore learning, not assign blame. To summarize, civility protects learning and participation. We use respectful language to disagree productively, and we follow clear norms that support professional discussion. If problems occur, we use a consistent process to reset the learning environment. Our goal is a classroom where everyone can contribute, think critically, and build leadership-level communication skills, which is practice for professional conversations in the workplace. Thank you for watching. As you participate this term, focus on one simple standard. Challenge ideas, not people. Bring your best thinking and help others bring theirs. If you ever have questions about expectations or classroom dynamics, reach out. If you'd like more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.